And welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. Get the podcast all the time on the on Twitch, as we are live on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, where I'm already having Jeremy's new alerts screaming in my ear, so I'm off my game already with air horns going off. Download the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We've got plenty to get into today because tons of news broke, and so did apparently Chris Rock's cheek or something. So there's plenty to discuss here on a very busy Monday. So real quick, our man from Florida right now, looking very, very journo here from the ownership meetings, the fearless leader, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online. Hi.
Hey, coming live from my mom's car. I feel like this is high school all over again. It was great.
Yeah, no, you're basically ripping off Dave Burkett. You were asking us before the show, like, where should I go? Where should I record? And you're like, we should do it from the car. That's what Dave Burkett does. Dave's a professional. So we have you there. I'm Chris Perfett, the adequate host, in case I didn't say that already, at Chris Perfett on Twitter. We have a lot to get to, so real quick, the third man of the show, Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. How's it going, Rye?
It's going all right.
Spring break?
Day number 1 officially of spring break.
Hell yeah.
But the Lions decided to break all the news they could today.
Break it all. And we're going to try to fit as much as we can in here while we have Jeremy. We're also on this show going to talk about Jared Davis. We didn't do a podcast on him yet. We're going to talk about that and some other free agent signings. Plenty of news around the number 2 pick and our favorite quarterback prospect. We will talk about that. But first, we got to start with the big news. And it's not Chris Rock. It's the Detroit Lions getting Hard Knocks. The Lions will be this year on HBO Hard Knocks, which is very, very, very cool. We will talk about that in a second. But I feel like that immediately got upstaged by the news that usually comes along with getting Hard Knocks, Jeremy, which is very, very much a coincidence that the Lions then got on the same day the 2024 NFL Draft. And if I may, I want to go live to some poll results, and then I'll let you jump in. Live to some poll results. I ran a poll on my Twitter account, at Chris Perfett, and I had the question, did the Lions receive the 2024 NFL Draft because the Lions took Hard Knocks this year? And here were the choices. Yes, absolutely, no doubt in my mind, and all of the above. 40% answered yes, 5% answered absolutely, 7% no doubt in my mind, 48% all of the above. So, Jeremy, the Lions got the draft because they are on Hard Knocks. That's what the people say.
Yeah, I mean, we suggested that might happen with Matt Deary, actually the one who brought it up. Am I coming in okay? I feel like I'm not.
No, you're not. You're not. It's
cool.
fine, though. It's fine, though. It'll stabilize. Stop moving around the phone.
There was probably a trade-off that happened a little bit there. And listen, you got to play ball in the NFL. That's just how it kind of works sometimes. And, whatever. Like, you do what you got to do. Rod Wood, for all the things we've said about Rod Wood, and I've been kind of at the forefront of some of his criticism. The dude has been a business-first guy. He's been trying to get the NFL draft here for a very long time, and he succeeded now. So we have to give him some credit there. And whether he had to make concessions to Hard Knocks, great. That's even better for Lions fans. I know some of the people inside the organization might not be as excited about it, but I certainly am. So good on Rod Wood for getting the draft here. That's going to be huge for the city. Good on Rod Wood for getting Hard Knocks here, even if he didn't want it, because that's good for us fans. So awesome day for Detroit. Awesome day for Lions fans. I'm thrilled about it.
I wonder how Jared Goff and Michael Brockers both feel about being on Hard Knocks for a third time. It seems like that's a lot of Hard Knocks in one NFL.
It follows them around. I will say though that at the very least for them, they're probably not going to be the focus. Because remember last time they were on the Rams Hard Knocks, Ryan, it was all about how it was about, Jared Goff talking about the sun and the stars and everything else. That won't be a problem. There are at least 8 people in front of him in Hard Knocks that people want to see. Already, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say to that point, too, I think that Dan Campbell and Jeff Fisher might be on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to entertainment value. But maybe just both in their own separate ways, because seeing Jeff Fisher talk about how he's not down with that 8-8, 7-9, 9-7 bullshit, that was entertaining in of itself. But I think that's probably the marquee star of all of this, right? Like, I think that overwhelmingly on Twitter, it seemed like the reaction was positive, and it seemed like everybody's first reason for that was Dan Campbell's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that Jamal Williams is going to be great on Hard Knocks, but I don't think, like, everyone nationally is tuning in because they've heard tale of Dan Campbell being psycho, of the coffee, of the kneecaps, of everything else, and it's a chance. That's probably the draw, if nothing else, to bring in people to Hard Knocks. Like, Dan Campbell's here. Oh, and by the way, and then it's gonna be a slow discovery after that. Oh, hey, wow, who's this running back who's really an anime? Oh, hey, wow, who's this? They have a bunch of coaches who are former players. I remember Antoine Randall. I remember Aaron Glenn. Oh, God, they're all crazy, too. And then it's going to go off from there.
And I think what's interesting, and a couple of people have already pointed this out on Twitter, is that people are going to be going into Hard Knocks with a very different impression of Dan Campbell than us locally have gotten. They are going to come in thinking it's all going to be, like, ridiculous. Like, they're just going to get silly Dan Campbell and, like, not going to take him seriously. But I think the people that are going to tune in for all 6 episodes, all 5 episodes, whatever it is, they're going to come out with a very different, and I would suspect much more respect for a guy like Dan Campbell after seeing the guy he truly is, both inside and outside the locker room. And, you know, I even put on Twitter, like, I'm kind of curious what he's going to look like inside the meeting room. But then I'm like, oh, he's just going to be himself. Like, that, Dan Campbell's not a secret. He there's not something, you know, crazy he's doing behind closed doors. And the players say it all the time too. Like, he is so consistent day to day that, you know, when he's there in front of the podium, he's not really putting much of a filter on other than, you know, cutting out some swear words. So we're going to get unfiltered Dan Campbell, but it's going to be pretty much the same as regular Dan Campbell. And I think that person is going to be a lot different than the perception that he gets locally. And that's something I'm really excited for, is for people to meet the real Dan Campbell, not just the kneecap biter, not just the caffeine intake, you know, not the crying at the podium guy. Like, he's a legitimate leader, and people are going to figure that out, and that's exciting.
I think that's very true, and, like, that's why I kind of push back, because I know the type about Hard Knocks has always been that this is a distraction, that people don't like it around, that it's going to expose, and you're going to get, you know, you're going to have a bad team for that year. I've never bought that. Never. If you are strong enough to go out there for at least 17 games of football over, I don't know how many weeks it is now, plus the preseason, you go through all that grueling and all that muck, and you're telling me a few cameras and some HVO guys coming in every now and then is going to muck you up that badly? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I've always found it a very easy cop-out, and I think if you want to prove, if nothing else, on the mental fortitude of this team, then you show them that Hard Knocks isn't some curse. And it's like, yeah, I don't even know how much of a curse it can really be. This is a team that's still trying to find its druthers, that's still nowhere near competing, but is still hoping to improve this year, and I think... I don't see Hard Knocks as being this thing that derails them, and it really shouldn't derail them. This should not be seen as some sort of curse or some sort of massive obstacle. If you're getting derailed by a few guys wandering around with a camera while you're trying to talk about, you know, who you're going to slot at tight end to, that's a you problem. That's not an HBO problem. That's a you problem. And I don't think this coaching staff is going to have that you problem.
No.
Yeah. I wanted to chime in and say that there's one thing I regret about the Matt Patricia era, and that it wasn't on Hard Knocks to be exposed. Like, a lot of people think that, like, you know, Hard Knocks, quote unquote, exposes a team, because that's exactly what you're saying, Chris. Like, if you have problems internally, HBO isn't making those problems worse. So I want to ask the question, though, because I thought it was really interesting who I'm assuming the Lions put together the graphic that they had for the Hard Knocks poster and the players that they included on it.
So the graphics department, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting that they had Romeo Okwara on there and no Jeff Okudah. I found that kind of surprising. I know that Romeo had, you know, a solid season that led him to a big contract, but he's a guy coming off an Achilles injury, and, you know, they did put a cornerback on the front page of that, and it was Amani Oruwariye. So I found that mildly interesting.
I guess I would file that under mildly interesting too. Again, it's probably just a creative choice by the people inside, so I don't think you can't read too much into it. But I will say that I don't think Jeff Okuda is going to be particularly interesting in terms of what he says. He's kind of a private guy.
Yeah.
He's not a really good
Yeah, I
media
agree
guy.
with that. Yeah.
It's a fascinating storyline, and I don't think HBO is going to ignore that. I mean, if a number 3 overall pick can come back from an Achilles injury and have a big year, that's an awesome storyline to follow. Obviously, you can only really follow it through training camp, but yeah, I would say that it's of note.
It is of note because the one other name that's just now popping into my mind, it's like, why isn't Penei Sewell on there? Like,
He will be fun. Oh my God, Penei is going to be great.
He's going to be awesome to have mic'd up. That's without a doubt. And I think just seeing that graphic, I was like, wow, like these are the face of the Lions. Like you think about back, not too long ago when you look at Ford Field, and it's Matthew Stafford and Marvin Jones and Golden Tate and Darius Slay. And it's like, oh, the Lions have players that are recognized league wide. I think that's another benefit of having Hard Knocks come in, is that it's going to shed a lot of light on these players that largely aren't known nationally.
No, I think people will then eventually, depending, and like, talk about another name that I don't think we've talked about, but I think when people get a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown and his work ethic, and like maybe HBO cuts back to some of the things he was doing last season, that is a big PR push for him. He's going to become a quick name.
I've got 2 points I want to make before we can move on to the draft, unless you guys have more to talk about.
No. I mean, I love the idea of Hard Knocks. It's funny because like you couldn't get me on Hard Knocks before, but this is the perfect pairing for Hard Knocks. It's been kind of fun. It's been trying to find its footing for a while, and I think they've wanted someone like Dan Campbell and the Lions on there. But yeah, go on.
But yeah, to 2 things. One to go kind of your point about, this shouldn't hurt the organization in any sort of way. It moves away from what this organization, I think, has really done a disservice to its fans, which is, close the doors, like work in a shroud of secrecy. Jim Caldwell did that. We know Matt Patricia did that. And listen, the fans aren't deserved anything, but it sure is nice when the coaching staff is more open. It's sure nice when we get more media access. It's sure nice when all of those things happen. And if you're a good organization, you got nothing to hide. And I don't believe in that like you're going to give away plays and you're going to give away secrets to other teams. I do know that other teams watch, at least this is what Bob Quinn said. He said, other teams scout film from Hard Knocks and use it. But if you're good enough, that should not matter. I know you're trying to get every inch of advantage as you can. It shouldn't matter. And that kind of leads into my other point. The other benefit I think of Hard Knocks, and I'll ask you guys to see if maybe you buy into this or not, but having this culture on display nationally when you know that players watch Hard Knocks, will this help out recruiting in the future? Seeing what it's like to play under Dan Campbell, see what he's like behind the scenes in terms of in meetings and how he treats his players, and Brad Holmes and how he treats his players. Do you think there's any tangible benefit to that being on display?
A little bit, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be still for a lot of players is going to be wins, and it's going to be money. Like, I mean, as much as I like the culture talk from DJ Shark, the point is that you're still not really drawing in a lot of people, and that's because, again, the Lions need to show that they're ready to compete at several key areas, including quarterback and on defense, and they need to show that in a weak NFC North, they're ready to compete, and they're not there yet, but guys like to win because it helps their career out at the end of the day. Like, when you leave the NFL, which is a very not for long arrangement, people remember, and like I work with plenty of guys in radio, and when they get introduced on radio by the big voice, it mentions how many times they were in the Pro Bowl, how many times they were an All-Pro, how many years they were in the league, if they are a Super Bowl champion or not. That stuff matters to a lot of guys. And like, yeah, the money's great to go to some of these teams, but those accolades help at the end of the day. But yeah, I think it will keep Dan Campbell and Lions on the radar for people, showing that this is a healthy work environment in a professional sense. And then hopefully down the line in a year or two, if the Lions can turn things around and start contending, then yeah, it will go into the consideration.
Yeah, I buy it a little bit. I want to talk about the draft though, because I think that's,
oh boy, we're gonna have so much fun
for not only fans but also for the city of Detroit, right? Like, it's gonna have a huge economic impact. It's gonna generate jobs and opportunities, and it's something that, I think it was Kyle Monkey who tweeted, when was the last kind of like national event that happened in Detroit in regards to sports?
Don't say it.
No, well, he said the 2012 World Series.
No!
I mean, it's been over a decade since anything like nationally relevant has happened in terms like of a big sporting event in Detroit, and the draft is one that, I mean, it attracts fans from literally all over the world.
Yeah, it's become a traveling circus. It really has. I mean, Ryan, you and I, we went to the draft in 2017 in Philadelphia, and that was a unspeakably huge party. Cleveland, after the pandemic, was big. Vegas is going to be huge this year. Like, it's become a big event, and I think, look, we had a weekend where we had some minor league soccer team trying to shit on Detroit City FC and the whole, like, Hamtramck. Am I saying that right? I can never say Hamtramck's name right. Hamtramck, excuse me. I could never say it right, just for whatever. It's like I made Coq au vin this week, and I could never, like, I had to be reminded 18 times on how to properly say it. But like, we're just shitting on, like, a cracked pavement and stuff. Like, I think people's opinion of Detroit is already incredibly low, but it's going to be on the waterfront. It's going to be around, a lot of that area in downtown around LCA and Ford Field, where there's been a lot of renovation. I think, I think to your point, I think it will go a long way to people's opinion on Detroit. And for us, it's going to be really fun because I don't know what the plan is yet for the future, but I was just talking with John Whitaker about, I want to put some big plans in place. I want some big plans in place, and I miss Sweetwater. And that's the big thing, too. We got to get people up on the Sweetwater Wings.
Yeah, maybe that's where we'll record our live show is from Sweetwater that week. But yeah, I mean, I think you both nailed it. Like, and Sheila Ford Hamp said it specifically. Like, this was a huge opportunity.
Sheila Hamp. She's apparently.
It is
hey.
She's dropped Ford.
Yeah, we're no longer. You got your wish. They're no longer owned by the Fords.
There you go. Everyone got their wish. But yeah, she mentioned, like, Detroit's got a bad reputation, and it was really important for her, and it was really important for Rod Wood to get back on the national radar when it comes to the sports scene and bring people down to Campus Martius, because Campus Martius is beautiful. Does it represent all of Detroit? Absolutely not. Are there parts of Detroit that need major renovations and major money plugged into it? Sure. But no one that has a negative opinion on Detroit is even aware that Campus Martius exists. And so it'll be fun to just kind of like see people and see their reaction walking downtown Detroit and doing so freely. Like, even like people as young as our parents, like, they're still they still have this negative stigma even internalized, where it's like, I remember being in downtown Detroit, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I was out till midnight, and I ended up telling my mom about it, and she's just like, oh my God, you were in downtown Detroit until midnight? Like, it's changed. It's changed so much since the World Series. It's changed so much since the Super Bowl was here. And I'm really excited to be able to hopefully change some people's minds about the city, because it's awesome now. The downtown area is actually very fun to be around, and people are going to realize that.
Yeah, it's not Philly, nor on like the museum steps, nor is it going to be Vegas all night long. But I mean, again, I just said it. The draft was held in Cleveland not long ago. Like, Detroit should at least be able to hold a candle to Cleveland.
So. It should be able to. The one thing that I know is going to be an absolute pain in the ass, though, is parking.
Oh, God.
Parking is going to be awful.
You know who the biggest winners of today is like the owners of Greektown Casino. Just jacking up parking prices to $300 an hour.
Yeah, it's
you've got a good city if parking is a problem, right? Like that's a staple of all like big burgeoning cities.
Oh yeah, no, I remember
parking sucks.
I remember covering Big Ten Media Days back in like 2015 in Chicago, and like Lollapalooza was
Chicago's
there.
The worst.
Oh God, no, it was the South Loop in the summer. Lollapalooza was the same weekend, Jeremy. A friend asked me to stop and grab a beer with him after I had checked out of the hotel, so I left hotel parking, and it was like $60 event parking. I was nowhere near Lollapalooza at all. Like, I was on the other side of the loop, and it was still like $60 to park. Al Capone would love that city now.
I would agree with all of you, but Jeremy put me on to How To with John Wilson, and he does an entire episode about parking in New York, and that is literally iconic.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess things in Detroit aren't that bad, but
this is a banner day for comedians too.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We'll get right back into it here very soon because I know Jeremy's on a mobile data plan here. And we'll talk a little bit of ownership meetings. We want to talk some Jared Davis coming up next. We haven't really got to react to him or Hughes or a few of these other free agents. We'll talk about that. And then later on the show, me and Ryan are going to have more draft conversations because it's relevant to our interests. So we'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast.